past couple of years, the spotlight has really been on Chinese vehicles, releasing some very impressive models to the UK market. And this is a new brand, XPENG. You may have heard of them before. Volkswagen has invested a lot of money into this brand, which is definitely a promising thing. They've got 4 models available, and the first one to arrive to the UK is this, the XPENG G6, the fully electric coupe SUV designed to take on cars such as the Ford Capri, Volkswagen ID.5 and of course the Tesla Model Y, which it takes more than a pinch of inspiration from. That's definitely the car it's trying to benchmark itself against. So today I'm going to tell you all you need to know about the G6. First of all, a huge thanks to XPENG UK for lending me this XPENG G6 for a week so I can give it a full in-depth review. Let's start off with the exterior design because as you can see it's interesting. Let's start off with the front of the G6, and it's got what XPENG calls the robot face, which, yeah, that sounds about right. It's interesting, the design. It has grown on me a little bit, but it's definitely not the sharpest looking EV at the front end in my opinion. You've got this light bar that goes across, which does look quite smart, and then these lights down here, which are quite low down. No grille here, the grille is lower down as we're seeing on a lot of EVs now. So it's got that electric car look. You couldn't really mistake this for a petrol car at all really. You've got sensors, very much packed with equipment as standard, so XPENG have really gone for the features on this vehicle, similar to what OMODA have done, focusing on those high spec features so people go, oh, I want a car with features, and then they can see the value for money. So they're not offering like a base model which is even more attractive on price, they're offering a competitively priced car that has a lot of equipment as standard. So this light bar does look okay. Quite nice. This is your daytime running lights and also your indicators, which I'll show you now. So you can see there, you've got sequential indicators, which do look very impressive actually. Very bright, very clear, and just very sleek. So they look good, and also just normal ones in the door mirrors. So that works quite well. Even though the headlights are down low, the indicators are in pretty good place. And how about alloys on the G6? Well, as I say, there's one spec available, so you get one choice of wheel. That all these 20-inch diamond cut alloy wheels in the grey and silver, which do look quite nice. They kind of remind me of older Honda style alloys. I think they suit the car quite well. They are quite nice design. Importantly, they're wrapped in Michelin Pilot Sport EV tyres, which means they're very grippy. I've not driven it much in the wet, so you'd have to try that out. But when you do set off from a standstill, it takes a while for the power to kick in so that you don't have that skiddiness off the line. So that is definitely a good positive. After all, the only contact a car has to the ground is the tyres. So much manufacturers overlook this. So it's great to see they have put premium tyres on this, especially when the car is good value, but not a cheap car. And what about colours offered on the G6? Well, there's a few different options to choose from. As standard on both the standard and long range, you get it in the Arctic White, which does have quite a big contrast between the black sections, and I think it definitely suits a darker colour better. There is then a few optional metallic colours. On the standard range model, an optional metallic is free of charge, which is excellent to keep it below the £40,000 tax threshold, so that's great to see. So a few different options to choose from. £700 on the long range though, so something to bear in mind, including this midnight black. I think this is the best colour for the car until the last colour, but we'll move on to that in a moment. It looks nice and it's the most sleekest on the vehicle. This car looks better on photographs than in person, I think, and it looks better far away. That sounds like a real insult that it looks better far away, but I think the proportions just make more sense when you're further away from it. Closer up, it seems a bit more blobby and a bit more strange. There's a few other colours available, including the Silver Frost and the Graphite Grey, which is a darker grey colour. Then last but not least, and probably my favourite, is the Fiery Orange colour. That's a limited edition colour and it's exclusive to the long range model, and it's a £900 optional extra. So quite pricey. The other metallics are £700 on the long range, so it's nice on the standard range you get a metallic as standard. To the side, the G6 has got that coupe SUV silhouette, and as you can see, it's quite curvy at the front and at the rear. Personally, I prefer when coupe SUVs have got a bit of a stronger front end and stronger sides to carry that curvier rear, rather than all being quite curvy. It just looks a bit melted in a way, this car. You do have the flush door handles, which will help with your aerodynamics and also, I guess, style as well. The black around the windows does look nice, and they are also frameless, so that's quite a unique feature as well. we'll talk about the rear of the vehicle now. The side is inoffensive, but it has got a very much a bubble shape, which I love the Volkswagen Beetle, so I can't say I don't like bubble shaped cars, but I just don't think it looks the best or the sharpest in the class. I think the rear of the G6 is probably the best angle. It's got more of that coupe SUV style, a tiny bit Porsche Macan-like, but it also reminds me a little bit of Jaguar F-Pace as well, especially this side section here. Wraparound taillights, which do look really good, as do the indicators. I'll show you those now. So you can see at the rear that also the sequential sweeping style, which look really clear and sharp. And whilst I thought the G6 may be guilty of not having a rear wiper, thankfully it does, tucked away up in the roof like what you'd find in a Kia Sportage and also on the new JAECOOs. Across the boot you've got XPENG spelled out, which looks quite good, and your G6 badge just down here. Although I quite like XPENG's private plates they put on the cars, I'm not a big fan of how big they've printed out the massive fat ones like they used to do on imported vehicles or taxis and things like that. You could just put normal ones on, would look a lot better, but at least it doesn't have those tacky black plastic plate holders that you get on a lot of other Chinese cars and also on Teslas as well. So how is it driving the XPENG G6? Well, as with most electric cars, you've got that instant torque, which means it's pretty nippy. In the UK, we have two types of XPENG G6 you can choose from, the standard range or the long range. In other regions, they do have an all-wheel drive variant. However, all of our G6s at the moment are rear-wheel drive only. It starts off with this standard range model with a 66 kilowatt-hour LFP battery, a combined range of up to 270 miles. That's got 255 brake horsepower motor on the rear, which will get you from 0 to 62 in 6.6 seconds, which is pretty impressive, and it provides 440 Newton meters of torque. This is the long range model, so it's got an 87.5 kilowatt hour NMC battery, an official combined range of up to 354 miles, and a more powerful 282 brake horsepower rear motor. Identical in power to some of its competitors like the Volkswagen ID.4, ID.5 and Ford Capri, which are all available with a rear motor with the same output. This will get you from 0 to 62 in 6.2 seconds, and it feels very fast. However, it has the same 440 Newton meters of torque. Slightly different battery technology on this long range model, which is meant to be better in the winter than an LFP battery. However, all G6s are equipped with a heat pump as standard, so winter range shouldn't be too affected, which is really great news. The charge port's located in a very good place on the driver's side rear of the vehicle. You just press it like that and it electrically opens, which I don't really see the point of when it's a side flap like this. It is capable of super fast charging. It's based on 800 volt architecture, like you see from the Kia and Hyundai group. That means 10 to 80% can be done in 20 minutes on both standard range and the long range model, which is excellent to see. Great at fast chargers, but most of the time you'll be charging this at home. It is standard of 11 kilowatt AC type charging, which is very good. That means on the standard range you can charge it in 7.5 hours and the long range in about 9.5 hours, which isn't too bad at all. An overnight charge on both of those. Obviously 7 kilowatts is going to take a little bit longer than those figures to fully charge, but it's not bad at all. Quite good you've got 11 kilowatt technology as standard. You've also got vehicle to load as standard. You do need to buy the adapter, but that means you can basically charge things off the vehicle. So you can plug in an adapter to make it a 3-pin plug, and then you can use it when camping, use it for your jet wash of the car, plug in the Hoover, things like that. That is quite handy. Press that one and then it shuts the charge flap. I'm not a massive fan of the indicators. They don't click down properly. Sometimes you end up trying to cancel it and then ending up indicating the other way, and then you're kind of doing this ping pong like when a lorry's flanking someone, which I was driving down to Manchester the first day I got this car and I was doing that a lot, and it was just a bit of a pain, to be honest. The indicator keeps going on forever, as you can see, still going off, so then you have to cancel it. Oops. Then you end up going the other way. I did that about 4 times going down to Manchester on the motorway. People must have got so annoyed with me and thinking, what the hell is you doing? That's a bad design. Why couldn't you just make an indicator that actually clunks down and then clunks up like a normal indicator stalk would? All G6s ride on 20-inch alloy wheels, which means you get a firmish ride, but it doesn't feel sporty as such, just firm. You do sit up quite high in the G6, which is good and bad, but you don't feel so connected with the road, which I prefer to have a bit more of a connected feel. So you will feel more connected to the road in something like a Polestar 2 or an ID.7 if you want that more driver-focused feel. If, however, you want an SUV, then this may be what you want. You get a very good view out of the road, the bonnet slopes down, and you have this glass house effect. So it's obviously a bit of an illusion, but it feels like half the car's the top, half's the bottom. So it kind of makes you feel like you're sitting inside a bubble almost, kind of for no reason. Like, I've got so much headroom, I could be wearing a massive top hat and I still wouldn't be touching the roof. Blind spots sit in the corner of the mirror, which isn't the best place for them, but they are bright enough. I've got it on the X pedal mode at the moment, which means it's basically full one pedal driving. It kind of crawls along at 2 miles per hour, so not a full stop. Auto hold as well, you have to push the brake quite hard to turn it on, which is quite annoying. Cornering, the car actually handles it quite well, but I feel a bit like it's got a bit of a ragdoll effect, where there's a lot of space and there's not much support, and I'm in the slippy plastic seats that just kind of slide everywhere, which isn't the best. But acceleration's quite smooth. The accelerator isn't too heavy either, which I quite like, so it's nice and lightweight. Even with the strongest regen on, it doesn't fight back at you like you get on Hyundai and Kia Group vehicles. And honestly, the sound is really quite insulated too. You've got double glazing windows as well, which is nice. A little bit of wind noise from the mirrors, but not too bad. Mostly it's just tyre noise. You got 20-inch wheels, so obviously you've got quite a bit of rolling resistance with those. But the 18-speaker sound system's fantastic as standard. So listen to my tunes, podcasts, whatever. One of the best I think I've heard recently. So it drowns out any road noise pretty much when you've got that on. So I think that's a really good plus point from XPENG. Quite refined actually, which is really good. Everything that you have in this car is standard on the vehicle, whether you go for the standard range or the long range. There isn't different trims currently on the G6 in the UK. So it starts at just under £40,000. The seats are generally comfortable enough, but I did find they are quite squishy, almost too squishy that I didn't have enough back support on a longer journey. But it's got no lumbar support either, which isn't great. That could definitely be better. See, now the indicator's still going. To cancel it, I've got the knack of it, you just have to really carefully cancel it off. If you push down too hard, you end up indicating the other way, but it's not like a normal indicator that'll just knock down. It's just strange how they've set it up, and things like that should be right, shouldn't it? An indicator. So 70, cruising at the higher speeds is pretty refined. I don't find this car the most ergonomic, especially the steering wheel. It's kind of a square steering wheel and it's very fat and chunky like you'd get in a BMW. You've got this 2-spoke design, but they're very fat. So if you want to rest your elbows on the armrest and then on this armrest here, you've kind of got to hold the steering wheel in this middle bit. It can be a bit more fatiguing on a long journey, which isn't ideal. A bit better here. Just don't understand the ergonomics of it. It's very fat and wide as well. Put your fingers behind these bits. It's just not the most comfortable to hold. Awkward. I did find I got quite achy arms after a 2-hour journey because I was holding them up the whole time, which is fine, and that's what I generally do. I don't normally rest them, but just this driving position, I just didn't find it the most comfortable, to be honest. I'm also not a fan of this putting the speed at the side. It seems like everyone's doing that at the moment. I don't understand why it can't be in the middle. It would make a lot more sense to me, but at least it's not on the central screen like Tesla and also now Volvo are doing. In the real world, this car's been showing about 330, 340 miles on a full charge, which isn't too far off the 354 miles official. It doesn't do miles per kilowatt hour, it does kilowatt hours per 100 miles. It's a strange calculation, but that worked out to about 3.8 miles per kilowatt hour, which is pretty decent efficiency for a car like this. It is of course built up from the ground as an EV, so that always helps as well, especially for the space in the vehicle. Some of the assistance systems can be a little bit naggy at times, but generally they're not too bad and they're not normally as strict as what you get on the MGs. Now this is the nav screen, but you can have it on the car, real-time SR assist, so this is where it's kind of scanning the road, and I don't really get it. I think it's telling you that the sensors can see what's going on, so it's meant to be a reassurance, but the truth is it can't see what's going on. It's a little bit delayed. I guess the technology's getting there now with self-driving, stuff like that, but I just don't think it's quite up there. You see a lot of the time glitching quite a bit and it wondering what parked cars are doing, or it thinks there's a motorbike when there's a person. Just random stuff where it just doesn't quite get it, or it won't pick up cars on the other side of the road sometimes as well. I've got eyes, I can see the road, I think that's more distracting, so I generally don't leave it on that. I leave it on the map one generally instead, or my Apple CarPlay. If I press this down again, the drive selector activates the X Pilot. If I press this one, it's meant to do the steering as well, which is very strong and it does try and fight you. It's doing a good job here, but sometimes it just goes off the rails for no reason and really fights you. So See, it slammed on then for literally no reason. It slammed on. Right, I'm getting off this thing. I hate this. I just turned it off. I was like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm driving myself. I don't want the car to drive me. So I'm not a fan of the X-Pilot cruise control. I'd leave that be. I mean, to be fair, you don't have to have the steering function on. You can just have the cruise on. Let's see how good the X-Pilot is here. Ooh, I don't like it. See, we're way too close there to that. The brakes are not too bad either, but they're not as smooth as the ones that I tested recently on the MG/S5, which were some of the best EV brakes I've ever tested actually. They were very good indeed. Steering's okay, it's pretty direct. I don't mind it at all really. I find it fine, but I just don't like the ergonomics of it. All G6s as well, like I say, I've got the Michelin Pilot Sport EV tyres on, so they're nice and grippy, good premium tyre. I've not really felt any skiddiness apart from on some looser surfaces, but generally it's pretty good and puts the grip down well. Visibility is not bad, but these are chunky at the bottom there. And the rear visibility is not great either. But the rear window is quite small, so you don't get a great view out the back actually, and the headrests are down as far as they go and they block in the back view a lot. You have a bit of the same as with the Volkswagen group at EVs as well, that if things get in the wheel arches like bits of stone, you can really hear it under the car. I like the accelerator setup though. I think it's done quite well, not too much resistance, and then you can feel the regens at the higher end when you come off the accelerator. So it doesn't fly through the windscreen when you come off a little bit. You have to come off quite high, which is quite nice. So you can control it quite well. If I come really off it, then you start to slow down, which I quite like. You don't really feel like you're going as fast as you're going in the car as well. So it's quite solid in that way. It's just not the most engaging or the most ergonomic in the class. There's no heads-up display, which with this massive windscreen, you'd think it would be quite nice to have this display either higher up or a heads-up display on the windscreen. And certain harsh bumps, the 20s are not smoothing them out very nicely, and it can feel quite firm. Would have been nice if they put some slightly smaller wheels on just for better comfort and also better efficiency. So we've tested it on the motorway, but now how about on a twisty road? So it does have the speaker headrests, which are quite strange, especially the first time I used the navigation. I was like, whoa, who's speaking to me? This is where lumps and bumps are a bit more of a problem. Whoa. See, bumps like that, it just doesn't like. Regen's quite good. You don't have paddles, which would be quite good to control the regen. National speed limit, twisty road now. Yeah, you can't fault the acceleration, it's very good. The handling doesn't really feel mega confident. You don't really feel like you want to fly around a corner. I know it's a family car and you're not going to do that, but it's got a lot of power there, and I feel like cars with a lot of power should be able to handle a little bit of chucking around the corners, especially when it's got such a firm suspension. You'd think it would be set up for that, but it's not really. Around town again though, it's fine, nice and smooth and quiet. I don't think you could complain just as an everyday car to live with, do the school run, things like that. I think you'd be happy with it. If you're new to an EV or whatnot, it might be something that you'd like. You have to press the brake quite hard for the auto hold to come on as well, which can be a bit annoying at times. So yeah, it drives nicely, no major issues, it's nippy. You just don't feel as connected to the car as I'd like. Inside the XPENG G6, it's not like you've got a base spec and a high spec on the UK trims. Currently, you just get what you're given and then you can just pick between your standard range, long range, exterior colour and also your interior colour. This is what they call grey, but it's really a white interior like what you get in Teslas. It's no additional charge, so it's free of charge. So you can have this or you can have it in black. If you do have black, this upper section is slightly different material, might be a little less slidey on the seats, whereas in the grey or white, it's all synthetic leather. They are quite slidey, to be honest. They're quite comfortable, they're quite soft. You have heating and cooling as standard, power adjustment, but no lumbar support and no base support either, so you can't tilt it up or down or in or out, so it's not as good as some competitors in that case either. The steering wheel also stylish looking, but it's not the most practical. Where you hold it, it's quite chunky, and then there's these bits here which are not very comfortable to hold and are quite wide. If you had really small hands, hands, this would not be practical at all. You've got twin wireless charging pads here, both 50 watts with cooling, which work very well, so you can charge your phone nice and fast. Cup holders down here as well. One thing you're also missing, just doesn't have a glove box. Yep, it's not even like on the MEB cars or Stellantis cars that have got half a glove box. The sound system though is very good. It's 18 speakers, it's X-Opera sound system as they call it. It's very, very good. You've got the speakers here, you've got this here, 18, there's quite a lot of them. There's a speaker up here and here, one here. Yeah, speakers pretty much everywhere around the vehicle. Passenger seat is height adjustable, which is quite nice, something that you see missing in a lot of vehicles. So it is nice that you've got that for your passenger, so they're not sitting in the footwell while you're up high or vice versa, which is good. These twin screens are also standard on the vehicle. You've got a 15-inch infotainment display and a 10.2-inch digital dials. Quite hard to figure out how to customize. How you do that is you hold this scrolly button here, and then these come up, and then you can scroll with either one of these what you want to see on the vehicle basically. And then this middle section, you can have it in your map mode or you can have it in your smart drive mode. So I've left it in the map mode generally. The screen's also facing away from the driver, which is one of my pet peeves, so I'm not a fan of that at all. There's no like way to change the vents with like little levers or anything to change where the air goes. You have to hold the vent and then do this where the air needs to be. Shut them off, you tap them like that, and then to move them you do this. But this definitely stumped me. I was like, what is going on? The air was like flowing like that, like that, and these were like that or something, and it just was not cooling me down. It was not nice. Some things people complain about that I'm like, oh, it's not a big deal, like pressing climate and you're easy able to access things like that. That's easy, that's fine. I do prefer buttons, but I don't mind that. But having to actually move the fans like that just is so counterintuitive, and such a small thing. Bit of plastic, move, move, move. Tiny thing. They've got to have the electronics inside that moves those things. I don't know why they did that. More expensive. It doesn't look better or anything. It's just weird. Anyway, rant over. Your screen is pretty responsive. Your Apple CarPlay does look incredible when you bring it up there. It's like really full screen. This is your Sentry mode, which is your recordings. It starts calling me an intruder on the screen. It's like, intruder. So I'm trying to grab the door handle there. It's not working. Puzzled, of course. I mean, I guess it's good in cities that it doesn't have keyless entry because we've all heard the horror stories, but still, I was thinking it was going to work. It didn't. Oh, I dropped my biscuits. A bit weird. It was filming me cleaning my car the other day. It's a good security camera though. If you need a security camera, just put this by your side of your house. Anyone walks past, it always comes up. So it thought I was a threat, but how creepy is this? This is like POV or stalker watching you vacuum your car. Like, it's such a creepy fisheye third angle. It's like very weird. Feels very intrusion on my privacy when I watch this back. I didn't even think this car would be filming me unless I was approaching it. So a bit weird that it can just watch. So don't be doing anything dodgy around your neighbour's XPENG cars if they've got one, because it's always watching you. So this is kind of the driver's view of everything. As I say, that's quite low down and there's so much windscreen. It's very panoramic. You're in this bubble almost. You do have the 360 cameras. This is a really good system actually on the vehicle. This is really good. I've never seen both sides at the front and the back. And then you've got your above view, which as you can see is very HD, and as on most cars now. The only thing that is odd with it, when you look at the car's 3D, disproportionate other cars next to it, you can see my other car there, it's literally like a building. Like, it makes this look like, oh, it's really tiny, but it's not. But the above view is really good. And then you can see the front view as well, which is quite good. You see exactly, that's the front of the car, and you can see, and it'll tell you, stop! So that's quite handy. As you can see, the fixed glass roof, standard, that is really nice. It makes it nice and bright in here. XPENG say it blocks out 99% of UV rays, so that's really good. And you don't feel yourself getting hot if the sun's coming down. You'll be able to see on the camera as well, it's darker out of here than it is out the windows, so it's got a tint on it as well. So there isn't actually a physical blind that you can put across or anything that you can press to frost it, unfortunately. That's fine for me though, because if there's ever a sunroof on a car, I always have the blind open because I like having that light in the cabin. But if you don't, honestly, I don't think this would be an issue. This is probably one of the darker ones out there that I've seen, and you do have the dark headlining for a sporty look. So they've done well with the sunroof at XPENG. I do like an opening sunroof, but I understand for aerodynamics and weight saving, a lot of the time electric cars just have that fixed glass roof. Don't like the exit handles that you've got a little button, and then the emergency one is in the door. Even worse, in the back, you've got to take covers off. Yes, they look sleek. Oh, I'll just press this door and it'll open, whatever. But if the electrics fail and you need to get out, you've got this release here, which is a bit of faff to get to, but not too bad. But just a bit weird. On the OMODA 9, I didn't realise, someone pointed out to me, the whole time I was reviewing that car, I was using the emergency handles to get out. That's how easy it should be. If you did need to get out in an emergency, you don't want to be faffing around, and it's even worse in the back, which I'll show you now. You have been in an accident and the electric system has turned off. Unlikely, but something that you would need to know, right? Better to have a handle nearby or one of those that you can grab. I don't know why they've done the electric handles, because even though you've got the door handles outside, you can still have a physical handle. This is what you've got to do in the back. Imagine it being dark. Quick, get out. It's not as fast as just grab the door handle, out you get. The door panels also feel quite cheap, and there's no carpeting inside those, unfortunately. But these bits are quite nice. Materials are not bad, pretty good. Quite minimalistic, so if you like that style, you will like it. So as I say, you get a lot of standard equipment on the G6, including that electric tailgate and a huge boot, 571 litres. The Ford Capri's got 1 litre more, Enyaq Coupe has got 1 litre less, the BYD C-Line 7's 520 litres, and a Toyota BZ4X is not even 500 litres, so it's really impressive. The parcel cover though is quite low, which I always find strange why they don't mount them a little bit higher, but under here you do have further space. You've got quite a bit of storage space actually, which is good for a cable bag and also your warning triangle high-vis vest as well, so pretty much everything. Unfortunately, if you're hoping for a Tesla style fruit or frunk, you'll be out of luck. There's no additional storage space under the bonnet of the G6, but I think that's quite okay considering how big the boot is, and also it's kind of 50-50 whether a car has got a fruit or not in this class anyway. It tends to be some do and some don't, and I honestly don't really mind. All your coolants are here and the bonnet is on hydraulics, which is nice to see. How about rear space and practicality in the G6? Well, this is my driving position, about 5'8". There's loads of knee room and headroom's decent too, even with this sunroof. I really like that this sunroof goes all the way back, so you get light even in the back as a passenger, which is great to see. You've got this armrest and this pops out and you've got cup holders, which is quite fancy. So that's nice. How is the middle seat? The base is nice and squishy, but the back is quite firm. That's not uncommon though. It's not too bad. It's better than the Q8 e-tron, but not as good as some other cars. So that could be better. Isofix points are easy to access, but they look nice and clean and sleek. Also, what's nice about this white leatherette is it doesn't get too hot in the summer, bounces the light back quite nicely. But you do have the cooled front seats. Back here you've got 2 USB-C points, and then you've also got a pocket on the back of each seat, which is good. You've also got a little tab just down here, which allows you to do your recline, so you can recline quite far back, or you can be more upright. Floor is completely flat, which is really nice, and you've also got vents to the rear as well, which is excellent to see. Your windows go down not quite all the way. The actual seats themselves with the boot slope up very much like Skoda's in that way that they sit quite high up when they're folded, unfortunately, so it's not like a completely flat low bay. Back seats, they've actually thought about the rear passengers, which is great to see, apart from if they need to get out in an emergency, probably just tell them to jump over the front. Hopefully it won't be something that you need to do, but in the unlikely event of emergency, fend for yourselves, rear passengers, it's a puzzle. It's like getting out of an escape room. So then, what are my final thoughts on the XPENG G6? Well, if you're looking for a feature-packed family EV, this could definitely be one to consider. It's got loads of things on it which make it quite attractive, like the sunroof, electric tailgate, the sound system, which is always nice that you don't have to tick loads of option boxes when you're ordering it, and also the heat pumper standard is great for helping your efficiency. It also has a 5-star Euro NCAP safety rating, pretty decent warranty too. It also has a really decent range actually, and real world I was managing to achieve very close to that in these conditions anyway. What's not to like about it? Well, the styling is a bit divisive. Personally, it's not my favourite. However, it takes a lot of inspiration from Tesla, and they are one of the best-selling EVs, and I don't like the style of those either, so it's probably personal preference there. What else is not great? Well, some ergonomics are just not great on the car, such as the vents through the screen, the strange-shaped steering wheel, the seats as well just being very plush and comfy, but not offering the best support. So those few things could all be better, as well as probably my main gripe with the car this week being the indicator. What was wrong with a normal indicator? If it's not broke, don't fix it. And they've tried to do a few things like that where I'm like, why bother XPENG? Could I recommend it as a car? Yeah, if you're looking for an EV, impressive range and plenty of features if that's what you're looking for. Thanks again for watching, and thanks again to XPENG UK for lending me the G6. I hope to see you in my next review.